Hey guys, I want to share a story regarding early investing and having trouble with holding on to investments for too long in hope that they will rebound. Long story short, I invested around $2,000 in ADA when it was around 8 cents. I had no real idea what I was doing. I ignorantly took a signal from a YouTube influencer and hoped for the best with no real understanding of the peak of September 2021 at around $3. My mindset at the time was that it wasn't life-changing money. I didn't need the cash right now, and that some people were speculating it could go higher to $5 to $10. Yes, I fell for the YouTuber influencer bullshit. Since the peak, I've watched the once value of $74,000 fall all the way down to around $6,000, and I've just held on ever since, where now it currently sits at a value of around $14,000 at the time of writing. Since joining TIA and learning about analyzing coins through TIA, understanding the game a little more. Now, this isn't an advertisement for TIA. The main thing I want to look at is the psychology around crypto investing. That's what I'm diving into in today's video to hopefully give you more than the typical buy here, price targets of $5, $10, you're going to be a millionaire, you're going to be super rich, etc., etc. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Stay here for the journey throughout the bull market and the bear market. Hopefully you've taken profits before we get into that deep, severe bear market. I still believe there's going to be a major pump coming up, but they inevitably always follow with a bear market. This lesson is taken from a member of TIA, and I suspect it is probably a lesson that the majority of us have had to learn the hard way, or are potentially going through it at the moment, or will potentially go through it in the next cycle. And of course, I don't want that for anyone. I definitely don't want to see people lose all those major profits that they potentially make in this coming cycle. Now, there's no guarantees with trading or investing, but if we do find ourselves with a ton of profit, hopefully this video can help you out. It can help you ensure that you do take some of those profits, if not the vast majority of them. That's what we all want out of the markets. So that's the basis of today's video. We're going to cover everything as per usual, but I also want to show you some key levels on altcoins where if these levels are to break, it could spell disaster for those altcoins. And if those price levels were to break, that might be a good point to assess your emotional investment with that particular project. As per usual, let's begin with the traditional market so that we can get an understanding of the broader macro landscape. This is going to be important for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as we lead into the next peak. If the rest of the markets aren't playing ball, if we're not seeing higher prices and we're not seeing a whole lot of risk coming into those markets, well, then it's very unlikely that you would see more risk come into cryptocurrencies as well. For now, headlines are still looking reasonably good, but of course, the main thing we want to look at are the charts. Starting with this morning here, Asia markets kickstart data heavy week higher with focus on China, PMI, and India GDP. Looking at India's stock market, new all-time highs yet again. So that was the close on Friday. Thursday burst into new all-time highs, then Friday into new all-time highs. This is one of your biggest emerging markets around the world, so things still looking rosy there. China is continuing on its 4-month run, closing a little lower last week, but we're now sitting in May with higher numbers than it was in January. So things still looking okay there. Notice that the headlines haven't been so negative towards China of late, especially with 4 months up in their stock market. But let's move to the US. Had a pullback on Thursday, Friday closed higher. On the weekly though, so the weekly chart closed a little lower here. The thing I was pointing out last week is even if we were to see these sort of moves to the upside to test all-time high prices, I'm still not ruling out something like that, where you get this push to new all-time highs. That was the previous all-time high before the COVID collapse. So you had the all-time high, you had another pullback, another test to the higher prices, another pullback, and then basically market continues on its merry way. If that is to occur, well, then we've got our 50% level to the downside at 51.66. So we'll keep a lookout for that on the S&P. But overall, for the longer term view here, things are still up, trends are still up, nothing to be concerned about according to the charts. not to the news headlines. The NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures closed at a new all-time high price. So the highest price in its history, closing price, also touched its new all-time high price intra-week as well. And anyway, if this was to pull back, well, we've got a downside price here of around 18,000 points. The Dow Jones a little weaker than the S&P and the NASDAQ. Still okay. It's above its 50% level at the moment, 38,900. And you've got the swing low here at 37,400, 50% level, which is a key support level, 36,400. So charts are still up. All that we're seeing here is that the Dow Jones is a little weaker than the S&P and the NASDAQ into its 8th week underneath the previous all-time high, whereas the S&P and the NASDAQ have hit new all-time high prices. So that's all looking relatively good on the futures markets. Now the US dollar closed below 105. That was this weakness line that I had drawn up on the chart, but it's still above 50%. So it's kind of in this no man's land for now. Should this begin to break down from roughly 104.3, probably going to spell more downside sooner rather than later. But while it remains in this zone between 104.3 and 105, well, that's basically just a chop range there. For the strength, for the upside, if the US dollar is to go up, definitely needs to get back above 105.2 relatively quickly. So if we continue to see this downside on the US dollar over the coming weeks, well, that's possible that we start to see a little more strength in assets like Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, because you get that weakness on the US dollar, a little more strength on those assets. Now, it's not a direct correlation, but you typically see weakness in the US dollar, commodity prices rise, asset prices rise at that time as well. All right, so on to Bitcoin and the price chart now. Last week we had that 8% dump, 72K down to 62K, a little bit of a weak rally here, and then again, another pullback over the last 24 hours. That one there was 1.2%. Now, once I throw on these lines, it's going to get a little bit messy, but what we are looking for now, and I talked about very key specific areas that you'd want to see price remain above, and if it goes below, then it's not the end of the world, but it could just drag out this process of accumulation or let's say consolidation, because we don't know if it's accumulation or distribution yet, but it'll drag out this consolidation process for longer. That key level for now is around $65,000. So that's those previous tops. That's this line right here. Price goes below that. This will just drag out the consolidation for a lot longer. It stays under there, then you got higher chances of testing the lows at 60 and at 56. But provided the price remains above $65,000, then the odds are to the upside and sooner rather than later. So I've got a lot of these little 50% levels drawn up, and I'll zoom in now, at least here for the 4 hour. Oh, sorry, on the daily here, you can see this would be the 4 hour 50% at 67.9. So basically 68 grand. And all that the price has done is bounce between 50% levels. This move to the upside pulled back dead on to the 50%. There you can see it right there. And then it bounced dead into the other 50% level. So this range here, right through the middle. And then it pulled back to the next 50% level. So you can start to see how the market reacts and responds to these 50% levels time and time again. So it's important to know what they are and how to use them. There was a couple of questions. It is this tool on the top right. It's called the fib retracement, and then you need to use it from the highs to the lows, the significant highs and lows, and the Gann swing indicator does a fantastic job of showing you which ones are the significant highs and lows to use for the 50% levels. Links to that, as always, are in the top of the video description. 7-day free trial on the Gann swing indicator. And while I'm here, if you guys did miss out on the sale, let us know. Drop a message at tiacrypto.com. Don't look at any of the scam comments down below. Check out the the contact us page over there. All right, with Bitcoin right now, this is basically just churning between 50% levels, which means the volatility dies off and you start to get this choppy sideways trading range. So not the greatest times to be trading, but if we're longer term views looking over the coming weeks or months, it's not the worst position to be in because it's above 65K. So for those who are looking out weeks to months from this point, it's still above the 50% at 65K. So naturally, this is the stronger half. It's at the top of this range, a stronger half. Underneath this level is the weaker half and increases the chances of testing these lower prices. So any of these sort of moves to the downside, not the end of the world unless it goes under $65,000. Bitcoin on the weekly had a reasonable close. It was still above last week and above that previous top, but it did have a decent sell-off leading into the end of the week. So not the end of the world because of those higher closes. So far, 2 weekly closes above the major 50%. And we are now, as Bitcoin holders, now into our 11th week underneath the old all-time high, which is exactly what we looked at in March when we had the 3-day down signal from that top, and then several of the other signals on this run up when it started to get very overheated. It seemed like we did need a fair bit of time, we, as in the market, needed more time to consolidate underneath this top before it could mount the next attack to the upside. The previous moves, that was 15 weeks underneath the top. So we're into the 11th. We're getting closer to that point now. And I dare say maybe it happens sooner rather than later. This was a different time in the market. This was still those accumulation times when the masses were still believing that it had further to go to the downside. They just thought this was a bull trap, I believe, bull trap. And they were looking for big collapses from this point. They still had a very firm belief that this was a bear market, but our signals were telling us that we were at the beginning of a bull market. Once this low came in, huge fear, market bounced away from that. And well, obviously the rest is history from that point. So on to Ethereum after last week's news of the ETF approval, but still no trading yet. Huge move to the upside, huge volume happened on that as well. And then fantastic weekly close. So for the key price level to the downside so that you don't lose the millions, we're looking at the 50% level again. The 50% level comes in at 2,800. Now it's overlapped a couple of times with this one right here. So I'll move that for now. That's 2807. That's the move to the upside. So putting that that level back, Ethereum's taken out that 50% level and closed 1 week above that level for now. The next couple of weeks will be quite interesting to see whether the market is waiting for these Ethereum ETFs to come out so people can start trading ETH ETFs, or if it's just going to front run it and continue up. Obviously, we've got the one close above, so it's looking relatively strong for now. Any sort of moves to the downside underneath 34 would just prolong this consolidation. And the level to watch is, in my analysis, is $3,200. Moves underneath $3,200 is going to prolong this consolidation a lot longer than many would hope for. And then 28 or a testing of 28 is on the cards. But for now, it doesn't seem like 28 is going to happen anytime soon. And if it remains above these levels, then of course, well, it's never going to test that 28 level in this cycle. The ETH BTC chart also looking relatively strong, back above the low that ETH BTC made when ETH USD hit that low back in June 2022. That's the low there. That's the low price of $880. That's what it looked like against BTC. Things are looking all right in the short term here while it closes above the 50% level at 0.053, and the number to beat is still 0.06. That's still the next key level for ETH BTC to get above to confirm, at least my own analysis, to confirm that the ETH BTC low is in. We had a low here, had another low, a temporary break, and then a pump above, which is a good first sign. The next sign is above 6, and then the next sign is above 0.065, so 0.06 and then 0.065. So it's going to bring some strength back to ETH. Onto altcoins and the altcoin market cap, some of those key levels there. But first, I just wanted to shout out the TIA traders. Flow is crushing the gains here. Well done on some nice, simple leverage over here. Nothing too crazy. So well done. Smashing up those gains, more gains, more gains. So well done to you guys who are learning the ropes and feeling comfortable with your trading strategies. This is what I want to talk about with the altcoin charts now. So I think this is probably good timing, especially after that video that I did with Miles. Probably have a few more degens on board. Let us know if you are new from that video with Miles. A couple of quick things. The market is always evolving. Always listen to what it is saying. Don't bet the house and expect an exact date or price. So essentially, someone's telling you that an altcoin, as I said in the intro, is going to be $10 on this date, and then you just wait for that. Don't bet the house and expect an exact price. I know it sounds pretty simple and that we should all understand this, but when that emotion picks up again, when Bitcoin and crypto start to pump like this, this logical mind will be thrown out the window and all the hopes and dreams will come back. So that's the first big thing. If you get lazy, you will lose 100%. If you get lazy in the game, you will definitely lose. Now, on this particular comment or this response, this was probably one of the biggest pieces, the most startling thing here. At the time, it wasn't life-changing money and you didn't need the cash. To break that down simply, the way I see it is there was no clear goal in mind. If you don't have a clear goal when it comes to trading, making money, a business, losing weight, same old things, then it just doesn't happen. So the money was made, but then it was all lost again because there was nowhere to put it. It's kind of this law of attraction thing. If you got nowhere to put it, then it's just going to go back. You're just going to lose it again. If you got no reason to get fit and healthy, well, then maybe you get fit and healthy one day because you were having a bet with a mate and then you lose it all again because there was no purpose to continue on that journey. It's exactly the same thing with trading and investing. Don't have a very clear goal that you want to hit. You could make all of that money and then you'll watch it roll over the other side and it'll all come all the way back down. Peppy could be a fantastic example of this. A lot of people probably going to make a lot of money to the upside. Now, I'm not saying this is going to turn over here whatsoever. Things are still strong. Prices are still up. Prices are still going higher, right? But what typically comes over the other edge of this, and maybe Peppy does this, I don't know. Maybe it just goes all the way up and everyone becomes millionaires. What typically happens is that complacency bounce, and then the rest is history from that point. It basically comes all the way back down. That, if you haven't seen it before, that's pretty much 99.99% of altcoin charts. I don't think there is going to be one that outlives this particular chart price or this chart action. And even if you get out early, maybe here, maybe on the way down, you just get out and you're able to do it, you've still made something from the market, especially if you're in early enough. The problem that is likely to occur is once we get through to this next stage, if we do in fact get another altcoin season, is that many are going to be getting in late. And so any sort of corrections, they're going to be at losses, at major losses. And they're going to hope and wait for these big gains that other people had and that other people had earlier. So they've had many stories of massive gains back here, many stories of massive gains back here. And in the case of some other charts, maybe they had massive gains back here. So they hear all of these big stories on the way up. And then these guys, the late people, are hoping for the best. Now you got two options there. You hang on and hope for the best, only to watch it come all the way back down as the comment that we looked at earlier in the intro, or you get out and take a loss. That's for the late ones. From what I can see, I don't think this is late so far, but that leads me on to the next part of the video, which is looking at these key price levels should the charts break down. Now, I'm always looking out for the possibility of things turning sour because at the end of the day, I'm a trader. I manage risk. I'm not here for the big hopes and dreams that everyone is looking for in these markets. That's why I've got these invalidation levels just in case. There's got to be a just in case in the market. So I'm going to start with some of the stronger cryptocurrencies. The just in case for me right now is underneath this level. It's a long way from where the price is because it is a strong crypto and it has shown that it's pushed higher. And you've got this level back here at 400, right? If that is to break down over the course of the next weeks, months, whatever, and break down from that 400, then this show is over. You can see it from the chart if that was to occur. So that is a key level to watch. But of course, we've got to keep watching and following the ride here. Maybe the ride continues on. We've got lots further to go, which is why I, again, shamelessly plug the Gann swing indicator, throw it on a weekly chart, and we can see where these levels are. These levels have kept us safe, holding up above key support levels. So just continue the ride. Just keep following that ride all the way up. Onto Pendle. Key level for me right now is this 50% here and this level right here. So I'm against the Bitcoin chart right now just to ensure that I'm still going to make significant gains to the upside, meaning that I want the altcoins that I'm in to outperform Bitcoin. As simple as that. So that level right now is about 6,100, 6,400 Satoshis. So keeping a very strong eye on that. Now onto the altcoin market cap. So for the overall market cap, do we get an altcoin season or don't we get an altcoin season? Here's my big red arrow underneath $400 billion on the total cryptocurrency market cap, excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins, whereas your normal total 3 has stable coins included. So right now I'm looking at that particular low. So you just look for that low there in April. This market starts to break down under that low. This could be a lot longer of consolidation before an altcoin season, or it could mean show's over. So in that case, you've got one signal here to tell you that maybe the market's weaker than the majority were hoping for, because there's a lot of excitement, or there's a lot of belief that we still have a major altcoin season to go, when in fact, I don't know if that's the case. No one knows if we're going to get an altcoin season. It's on the black side of the chart, it's on the right-hand side of the chart. No one has those answers. If you do, let us know in the comment section. So all we can do is just manage the risk here, manage where our investments are and what we do about them. With that in mind, there's the level. $420-ish billion excluding stable coins and Bitcoin and ETH. To the upside, the tipping point is right around this level here. So around 650-ish billion. It's that previous top. The current top is 640 billion. And if the market is to continue climbing here, get above 530, get above 580, which are these next two 50% levels, then we could see some new all-time highs over the coming months. I think in 2024 at this current rate, unless things obviously break down and get beneath an invalidation level. You've got to have an invalidation level on your chart. If you don't, go and make one now while the markets are still quiet. So you got a sane mind about you and not some illogical mind as the things are pumping, because you put an invalidation level just somewhere absolutely crazy that it will never happen, which is essentially like having no stop. No video is complete without covering Solana. And on the weekly now, we had a rejection at 50%. So at that 260,000 Satoshis, 0.0026, close below it. But for now, it's still above the 50% level on that run up, and to the upside, it's just closed underneath that level again. So the higher lows were being made in mid-April. A close beneath those levels, that is going to spell a bit of disaster for, at least in this case for this chart, Solana, over that coming next move up, because it would be in a weaker position against Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that it won't make gains. It doesn't mean that the Solana USD price won't go up. It will go up, of course, if Bitcoin's going up, but it might not be outpacing the gains of Bitcoin. It might just keeping pace. It might just continue to keep pace with BTC. Not the end of the world if that's what you're doing and you're staking or doing whatever it is that you're doing, but you're just probably not going to see those outperforming gains like you would on some other cryptocurrencies, which are putting in fresh highs against BTC. So that is going to be a big one that I keep watch of right now, especially as Solana has rejected again on the weekly at the 50% level of the bear market range. So there is a range top to low. It's come back, hit 50. If that starts to die out here, that could be ETH 2.0 in the making. Remember, ETH did that last cycle. It ran up, hit the 50% level of the bear market range of the previous cycle, and then pulled back, attempted again, and then continued to pull back. So I'm not saying that this happens to ETH. I'm just saying keep a watch out in case it does. And it doesn't mean that it couldn't come back and you say, well, you're all wrong because ETH is putting in some great upside gains here. But essentially, is it really? It might just be trading in a trading range that you can see, that's already put in on the chart that started back in late 2023. So although the charts are boring, in my opinion, it's not going anywhere. We're in trading ranges right now for Bitcoin. Some altcoins are putting in higher lows. Don't go anywhere, because I think this is one of the most important times, as I guess every other week is. It's always important when you got money in the market. But I mean this from a point of view that while things are quiet, you don't have all that extra retail and that extra noise of huge moves happening in the market, which then get covered every couple of hours on YouTube. This is the time to be assessing where those particular levels are for your altcoins, so you don't get emotionally tied to the investments and then watch them hit peaks and roll over. So if you got anything to do from this video, put those levels in, put those points in for your altcoins. Second thing is have a goal in mind. If you need to hit a certain amount of money, have that in mind. If it doesn't reach that point, have another level in mind what you need to do to get out. And that might be a technical level that says, look, these charts are weak. I'm not going to hit that goal. And maybe the goal was $500,000. I'm not going to get there. I've got 250 in my account. The charts are breaking down. This could be in 12 months' time. I better get out with something rather than hold and hope. Hopefully this video has been immensely helpful to you. And if it has, let me know in the comment section with which part of the video helped some light bulb moments, and any questions that you have relating to what we discussed in today's video. Found value, of course, smash up the likes. 4,000 likes. I don't think we'll get there, but let's give it a go. 4,000 likes, and I'll see you guys back here at the next video. Until then, take care and peace out.